ready to
versus the rest of us.
They're registered as reservists as well.
No, the young fall out.
Okay, folks, ready to go. It's not 25 to 2. Right, so item 5.1, which is the Carers Strategy Annual Report. So I don't know whether it's Stuart or yes, it's Stuart.
I'll go first, Chair. Thank you very much. So,
this is going to look really bad.
good morning, everyone. So this is the final annual report from our current carer strategy, and I hope you'll agree with me, that we are really pleased with the progress we've made. And if I can take you back to the overall aim of the strategy when we first presented it back in 2022, to increase positive carer experiences in the city by up to 40%. I did think at the time back then, is 40% high enough, or we're not being ambitious enough, but it was almost double the Scottish average at the time. I'm pleased to say that we're well on our way to achieving that. It was sitting at 37% for Aberdeen City last year, and obviously the target's 40%, and the carers are due to be surveyed, or sorry, have already been surveyed this year. Everybody survive?
Sorry,
Do you want me to go under and get it? Fiona's got it. Okay. So same as the previous years, the action plan's also included, which details and demonstrates the work we've carried out, action by action, line by line. And also crucial to the delivery of the improvement projects, which help support carers directly alongside our commission services, and that's been crucial for us to help delivery over the course of the 3-year period. So before we open up for questions, I'm just going to hand over to Grace very briefly to introduce a couple of the key highlights from those improvement projects.
So we have had 7 improvement projects over this year, and that went through the process in July. So we had everybody, I think it's written in the report, is nerve-wracking presentations came forward with their applications. So Bernardo's, Quarriers, PAMIS, We2, Sport Aberdeen and MCR Pathways. Some of the projects have developed from the first round, but just to note just a couple that we've supported the extended programme of the Care and Connect programme with young carers through Sport Aberdeen, but this is now also expanded into adult carers this year. And also to note that We2 again developed their application from year 1 to support further developments with their service. They've now been able to expand their magazine into a digital copy, which our practitioners are absolutely loving, and making sure that that is actually good signposting services to support across the city. The Ninjas, as you'll know them as We2, are all carers themselves, and so they're all within employment, but also starting their own training sessions, so they're supporting other carers across the city with the Ask the Ninjas workshops across Aberdeen, so they're supporting parent carers. I'm kind of happy to take any further questions around improvement projects, but any other notes would be great. Thank you.
Just before we do, Chair, sorry, I just wanted to add as well that back in 2022, you'll see the figures in the annual report at Appendix B, when we had, I think it was just over 800 carers through Quarriers and over 150 through Bernardo's. We're now sitting at nearly 2,500 carers engaged with our services across the city, which is a substantial increase over that 3-year period, and something that has been a massive priority in the current strategy. So we're also delighted to be able to share that news with you as well. So thank you very much, and we'll take any questions.
And I guess on those figures, there'll be carers out there who aren't in the system.
Definitely.
Probably more who aren't in the system. Sorry, yeah, so questions? Yep.
Do you have any concerns about the reduction in the improvement?
So yeah, so we've taken that into consideration, and obviously with developing the new carer strategy, we kind of went with that focus in mind, and saying if we had that fund taken away, you know, how would we still then develop those? So again, our carer strategy improvement group is a wide group, as you'll know, of all our partners in and around that. And I think there is a general consensus that we know that we've kind of got to take what we've got round about resources and funding and kind of look to see how we can, you know, expand that or use that further. We've also, when the applications went through, initially we always go with the frame of mind that business continuity has got to be part of that project application, about how they then would support the project going forward if funding wasn't available. So that has been kind of taken into consideration, but absolutely, with no question, Carer Strategy Improvement Group will be making sure that that is, you know, a transition or supported going forward. There's also opportunities for us to look at external funding and looking at opportunities around about that to take it forward.
Okay, Martin.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I've got two questions. One, picking up on the point you made just a moment ago, Chair. So, a carer has a particular legal definition, and there are growing numbers. How do we make sure that individuals know that they can that they can be categorised as a carer, so that they can? I mean, this is a really comprehensive, thorough report. The programmes that are available are excellent. There's sports, arts, socialising opportunities, but we need to, you know, there are growing numbers of carers. We want them to have access to all of these excellent services. But, you know, there is that risk that we've got carers who don't know that they are classed as carers. So how do we make sure that they are encompassed within that?
Thank you, Councillor. So one of the key elements of the strategy, as you'll see and as you've highlighted, is being able to identify carers. Now, I mentioned the numbers before, where we started back in 2022 and where we are now in 2026, and the Chair's right, there's a significant number of carers who are technically unidentified. But I think the steps that we've made through the work you can see in the strategy in this annual report, our networks through the Carer Strategy Improvement Implementation Group, also Quarriers, our colleagues at ACFO, and our colleagues at Barnardo's too. The key elements of those work is to be able to identify more and more carers, and we've shown, I think, I would say, consistent progress over the period of that 3 years to identify more carers, and that will continue on into our next strategy. So I do accept that it is a significant challenge that we face, one of many, but we are working very hard to make sure that we continue to identify more carers, and that work will carry forward into the next strategy.
Great, thank you very much. And if I could ask another question, which is, carers have, young or older, have got very considerable responsibilities, and they can be very complex. Will carers have access to specialised supports and training so that they know how to provide treatment, almost expert care to the person who they're looking after? I mean, is that one of the challenges, being able to provide access to, I don't know, courses, supports, professionalised training even for a carer? Is all of that available?
Yeah, so the support that we provide for carers and making sure that they have access to different training, there is part of obviously Quarriers and Barnardo's support. Once carers are identified, they can signpost them to these specific areas. There has been bits of improvement projects that we've done over the 3 years, like with our podiatry service about supporting foot care. There's also been support with Alzheimer's Scotland about when somebody has been diagnosed with dementia and how to care for that person. So there is definitely different supports and opportunities available for carers, how to support their care for a person, and actually has been, when we hear in the next report about that support, about actually carers have come forward and asked for that to be more accessible, more visible within when they're first coming online to services. I'll give you a small anecdote from a carer that we had round our table through the co-production service. When her mother had been diagnosed with dementia, she got a whole load of information about being a carer, but at that point in time she couldn't actually concentrate on that part. She had to understand what the dementia diagnosis for her mother was first, and then once she kind of understood that, then was able to understand actually herself is now going to need support going forward. So it is always a changing feast, and there is always more information we can hold. And proper signposts and links for when people first are understanding that they are a carer.
Great, thank you very much. I think it's an excellent strategy, and as you mentioned, the carer is on a learning process to find out how can they improve the care that they provide. So would that include, for example, I mean, a lot of carers won't know when they should or when they're entitled to apply for guardianship, power of attorney, and so forth. Is all of that covered within the strategy?
Yeah, and the carer support services that's one of their main key focuses, to make sure that they are fully aware of the rights and entitlements they are as a carer. Definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got Shona McFarlane online. Shona?
Hi there. Yes, I was just listening to what you were saying, and I don't really see anything specific for mental health support for carers. And I'd like to know how that's going to get addressed, because 9 times out of 10, that's the extra pressure that's put on carers actually does affect their mental health. The stress is involved in it. So can somebody make a comment about that?
You might.
Thank you, Shona. It's Stuart here. I'll take that one. So I totally accept your comment in relation to our current strategy and the challenges that we have faced around that as part of the co-production sessions. And I appreciate this is maybe touched on the next paper, Chair, but as part of our co-production sessions, that's one of the elements that we are taking on board when we pull together our carer strategy action plan, which is due to be developed as a recommendation in the next report. So we will absolutely take that on board. Shona, we've heard that through carers who came to the co-production sessions, as I say, and it's also part of our shared service outcomes for the commission services. Both Quarriers and Bernardo's have that specifically in. And we put that in when the contracts were approved in February of last year to ensure that our services, particularly when young carers transition into adulthood, to make sure that we've got services around the carers to help support them moving forward. So it's certainly an element that we are taking forward.
Okay, any more questions, comments? Richie?
Yeah, just a comment. I did have a question, but it's actually just been answered just now around the transition of young carers into adulthood. So maybe just ask you to in a minute just to expand a little bit about how that process actually works. But no, just to say, I thought there's a lot of detail here. Great to see a number of carers being identified, increasing at the rate it has been. That's really important. And just in terms of the whole prevention, the early intervention agenda, this is a really, really important piece of work that we need to kind of keep going with. So just again appreciate the work's been done today.
Yeah, it really ties to our new strategic plan, obviously, in terms of early intervention and prevention, and in terms of that transition for particularly young carers into adulthood. As I say, it's part of the contracts we have for our commission services, and just to give you some reassurance there, Grace and I and the rest of the carer strategy implementation group, that multi-agency group, monitor that on a quarterly basis through the contracts team as well. So we are actively monitoring performance in that area moving forward, and we're just about to have the first annual review as well. So just to give you some reassurance that we are around those conversations and actively monitoring that.
Okay, right.
Thank you very much, Vice Convener. Very good report. Just one quick question in relation to guardianship order take ages. I mean, court is just always putting burden on council. The council take a long time. Why is a very lengthy process over a year?
So from my understanding, guardianship's done through a legal process and power of attorney and such like. So our carer support services support people to first do that application process to get that through. I do understand that legal processes sometimes take a while. Some cases can be complicated, but our support services are there to support the carers to go through that process.
Okay. Any more?
Just on that, Chair, if you don't mind, the earlier identifying the need for guardianship actually will cut out some of the delays. A lot of the delays are actually built into the system through the Scottish the Ombudsman that actually oversees and regulates and assures the delivery of guardianship around this is effective. So I think it's about how do we ensure that families are having early conversations about the potential need for guardian or power of attorney orders to be put in place, which actually can mitigate some of the delays and some of the stress that families experience when those delays are encountered.
Okay. I think Shona wants to come back in again.
Yeah, that's kind of answered or what I was going to say, because I prepare the documentation for the Office of the Public Guardian, and they really do have a severe backlog, so that's a stalling point in the whole process. So I agree, early intervention is best, because at the end of the day, if you leave it until it's too late, there's nothing you can do to really drive it through the Office of the Public Guardian. That's just the state that they're in, because more people are becoming more aware of it, and they want to obviously have this later on. So, you know, it's just early intervention, I think, is the best thing, and knowledge about it.
Okay, any more comments, questions? No? All I can say is well done. What strikes me about a lot of the initiatives that we've got going on, they're quite simple. They're not rocket science, but they actually make a huge amount of difference to individuals. So yeah, that's always struck me about this area. But yeah, anyway, well done, guys. Are we happy to agree the recommendation, which is to note progress?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. And the guys can stay sitting where they are, because it's without 5.2, which is the new carer strategy for 26 to 30.
Thank you very much. We've touched on some of these points already, but as everyone will have seen, from the video this morning, carers face unique challenges. Councillor Greggs touched on a few of those just a moment ago, but our new strategy is designed to help carers tackle those challenges, and you'll see at front and centre it's about the accessibility of information and services, where carers can access information, so we make everything as straightforward as we possibly can in what is a very complex landscape, and to make sure that carers have their lives alongside their caring role. This strategy very much takes the lead from our strategic plan, and we've had great feedback via the consultation process from our Aberdeen City Council colleagues and the strategy board there, our NHS Grampian colleagues, and obviously the power of work we've already mentioned through the Carer Strategy Implementation Group. Attached in the papers is obviously the IIA and consultation engagement summary, which is there for you to see. And this morning, again, we've touched on how important the voice of lived experience is in informing our decision making. And I'm really pleased to say that this strategy was developed by carers for carers. And we did that through the co-production workshops, which I'll hand over to Grace to briefly give an overview.
Co-production takes time, effort and understanding. We took time to make sure our carer services and partners could come around the table, and they're mentioned throughout the strategy as our collective community. We've ensured that all stakeholders have been there to develop the key elements of this strategy so far, so agreeing an ambitious but achievable aim, streamlined our priorities from 4 down to 2, and also that key programmes of work which will form and develop into the delivery plan for the strategy going forward. With feedback that we've heard, they want clear, realistic and achievable strategy. We hope that that is reflected within this final strategy that's in front of you. And our Carers Reference Group and other carers have been engaged through the co-production session. I gave you a wee anecdote from someone that had been around the table earlier on, and it's been great to have that. To see that being kind of come developed, and I just appreciate all the support that we've had from the people around the table for engaging in the consultation process as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and carers have really told us they want clarity. That's been a real key message that's come across when we've been conducting these workshops. They don't want acronyms, they don't want fancy words and a nice shiny strategy. They want clarity and they want clear deliverable actions, and that's something that we've really focused on trying to put in place in this strategy. They want us to be upfront and commit to what we can do, not what we hope we can do. So that's something else we're focused on moving forward into this strategy. I just also want to touch on the legal right to a break in the legislation that's currently going through at the moment. We're expecting more information from the Scottish Government in May, and hopefully before May. But I just wanted to kind of highlight that we are aware of that, and we will be taking that into consideration when we pull together the action plan moving forward. But we're still waiting for more information from Scottish Government, who expect it to be implemented later on this year. I think we're looking around the May-June time.
Yeah.
So happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Okay, Martin first.
Thank you very much. I have to say I'm very impressed with the document, with the plans. It's very well structured. It's got all the information in there, the graphics. It's the layout. Everything is very well presented, and the information which it reflects is excellent to see. I think there's always the risk that you can underestimate the role that carers play. They're working away practically, sort of hidden away, concealed. We're not always aware of the value that they add to the health and social care environment. So for that reason, there's mention in there of performance reporting, and I think we would want to see what difference is being made. I mean, there's mention of measurables and so forth. Is it possible to have some further information on how we can see the difference, so that we can ask questions, scrutinise in a supportive way? What's the performance monitoring structure? So, is it an annual report or what?
Yeah, so similar to what you've just seen in the previous report, we will be taking annual reports to IJB, and the key performance indicators is in one of the second last page of the strategy. We will obviously be making sure that there's added information into there from what the development plan, the delivery plan, is going to be delivering. So that is our task next. So once this is approved, and we will be going in our carer strategy implementation group to the developer delivery plan, which will have our key actions coming forward for each year, and we'll be back to IJB to let you know how that's going.
Thank you very much. That's very reassuring. Will the group itself be able to monitor? Will they have the information on delivery targets and so forth, so that there's an ongoing review of actions?
Thank you, Councillor. Do you mean the Care Strategy Implementation Group?
Yes.
Yes, so they'll have that.
Themselves, are they overseeing?
Yes, so they'll have that information every 2 months.
Every 2 months, okay. And then reported to IJB
annually.
Yeah. Grand. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Mark?
Thank you very much for the report. I welcome the realistic and achievable reduction to 2 priorities. I think that we've very mindful, obviously, of the strategic plan going forward. Even mindful of NHS&G's priorities now being reduced, and I think that staying focused on 2 priorities is certainly, I think, going to be to your advantage. I think you can deliver on those. I think if we choose too many things that we want to do, I don't think we end up delivering anything at all. So I just welcome that approach, and obviously you can build on those as you move forward, I think. But I welcome the strategy. Thank you.
That old saying, if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority.
Exactly.
I'm looking for more hands. Anyone else wanting to come in? Not seeing anybody. Amanda Foster couldn't be here today and sent her apologies, but Amanda passed on a message and she said carers need all the support they need as they're looking after a loved one, and she didn't realise that the unpaid carers saved the partnership a reasonable amount of money. I think I'd use the word big amount of money, which is reasonable. So yeah, I just wanted to pass that on, get that on the record. I think also you said carers said they wanted something that's clear. I think you've really achieved that. The kind of the strategy on the page is good. I like the little pen pictures. I think you have avoided jargon. So yeah, well done, guys.
Thank you.
If there is no one else wanting to come in then, can we approve the recommendation, which is to approve the strategy itself and instruct the Chief Officer to deliver a delivery plan.
Agreed.
We agree? Great.
True. Yes.
Great. So that brings us on to item 6.3, which is the annual procurement work plan. Give Neil a couple of seconds just to relocate. Right. So, just before we start this, we've also got the exempt appendix. So if you've got a question on the exempt appendix, can you be careful not to ask it in the public session? But anyway, Neil, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning. Oh, yeah, just good afternoon, everybody. So today we're presenting two business cases on our annual work plan for your consideration. Firstly, the National Care Home contract to approve the extension through a direct award of the 23 existing National Care Home contracts by a 1 year. Estimated cost of just over £46 million. Secondly, the Sheltered Housing Support Services. It's recommended that this contract is extended for 1 year to 31st of March 27 to ensure the continuation of service while a full review is undertaken to inform future commissioning decisions. This review will align with the work being undertaken by the Housing for Varying Needs Short Life Working Group, which is looking at the future commissioning of housing support services across all sheltered housing complexes in Aberdeen. I would then want to draw your attention to 4.6 in the report and the related spend for out-of-area residential and non-residential placements, which don't come here for approval. They go to the Chief Officer for approval as their individual placements. In estimating the contract values, we've allowed 6% on Appendix D. The real living wage for 26-27 is likely to be covered by additional Scottish Government funding, although I understand the full amount to cover for this year has not been received. Awaiting a decision from funders here, but the Scottish Government expectation is that the full uplift is covered, so I'm sure we'll find a way of addressing that in the next month or so. The national negotiation on the National Care Home contract, Appendix C, has not yet concluded, so the outcome is not yet known. We have allowed for a 10% uplift to ensure there are no financial surprises and hopefully some good news there. Usually we look at about 6 to 7% in terms of that uplift. We have asked on a number of occasions for a new National Care Home contract because we're still working with the 2013 version, which honestly wouldn't fly in my team, and we expect that for a contract that's worth £46 million to have an updated version at least 3 or 4 times in those 13 years. We have also asked for a multi-year deal on a number of occasions, which I think would aid both the providers, the marketplace, to bring some security, but also for our own internal finance to have a clearer picture going forward and for budget purposes. We have asked our representative on the executive board of Scotland Excel to raise that, which he has done. Again, we are still waiting to hear if that's ever going to happen. I just don't. Anyway, never mind. I won't go into a rant about it.
Feel free to rant.
During consultation, I received support from legal colleagues, along with questions around the National Care Home contract only being a year-long extension, and plans for the longer-term arrangements for both. Considering both of them have 1 year extensions to them. As ever, rigorous monitoring will take place both by my team and partnership colleagues, this year being supported and led by Kate Humphrey, which has been a really good initiative in the partnership. It's really helped us, and I think it's also helped services, as was described earlier. And that is always to ensure best value. Together we're focused on the ethical commissioning and the GURFE principles. In terms of best value, Both approvals requested today have been and are assessed to make sure we strike the correct balance between respecting people's rights to choosing their own home and services, and also delivering best value in terms of quality and cost. Proposals outlined in the business cases secure the care for current residents. The proposals do not preclude Aberdeen Health and Social Care Partnership from reducing spend across these contracts in pursuit of our aspirations outlined in the various financial reports that we get regularly, and being mindful of the financial environment in which we are currently operating. Each contract has in-year termination clauses, so the IGB is not constrained by any decision from this report in terms of contract length, contract terms, or contract value. This provides the partnership with flexibility over time to, for example, create savings by reducing capacity and or reallocate resource to spend which can help people stay in their own home longer, where that is appropriate and representing the best value. The the Commercial and Procurement Shared Service, CPSS, has adapted contracts to ensure there's always measures available to remain responsive to change. Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to answer any questions, of course. Also, just to say, I have Denise Thompson, my Category Manager for Residential Services, online, and Catherine King, Category Manager for Non-Residential Services, in the room.
Grand. Okay, so any questions? I got Richie first, then Martin.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan, and thanks, Neil. Getting a really comprehensive introduction, and you've stolen a bit of my thunder about the single year contracts, particularly in the care homes. I understand the context around the housing support services, that makes sense. And I guess not to open up too much more of your justified rant, I would say. But what is the impediment? Is there anything we can do as an IGB just to support the efforts through Scotland Excel to we can press on and modernise that national care home contract? It's like you, I can see the benefits of having a degree more certainty for the providers as well as for us in terms of planning to take that forward. So I guess what is the impediment, firstly, and then is there anything we can do just to give more power to your elbow in terms of that negotiation?
I think anything that anyone can do in terms of Scotland Excel, trying to push that agenda forward at whatever level would be important, would help us. There's an issue, I think, when you have a contract that's 13 years old and then you have, goodness knows, 15, 20 variations attached to that contract. It becomes unwieldy, and it's just not appropriate to have that anymore. We have tried through the Executive Board to do that. I think Scotland Excel are probably under pressure in terms of their own resource. To be fair to them, I don't think it's an ill will. I don't think there's anything they're saying they don't want to do it in terms of the contract. I think it's probably just time and pressure there. In terms of the other aspect to that, with a national agreement over multi-years, I think there's probably issues around getting funding from the government and acceptance that, if you do 3 or 4 years, we can accept these costs. There's probably political pressure there not to do that. But I think currently in the care market, it would be useful to have that stability. We talk all the time about having staff and making it a vocation for staff. Well, let's make sure they've got a 3 or 4 year contract in place so they know that their job is secure going forward. And maybe that will also help developments in care homes if they know that funding is in place. Because they do sort of go from week to week, some of these care homes.
Thank you.
Jonathan, you've got what's going on?
Thanks, Chair. Just to add to what Mr. Stevens is saying, the challenges of multi-year funding commitments and so on, and actually judging what you might be able to do. Obviously, we're letting contracts that are running for a number of years, and the expectation is we continue to pay and support those who need, and that in those particular locations, that care, that delivery. We've not had for more than a decade multi-year settlements, so from that point of view, we've not been able to plan with that. What we've had more recently is spending reviews which indicate the landscape going forward. Dare I say that landscape doesn't look particularly fruitful in terms of flat cash from a local government perspective, obviously increasing budgets from an NHS perspective, and that's what's indicated, but until we actually get a set of numbers, it's really difficult for us to be absolutely certain what that's going to look like. But I will say, in relation to the National Care Home contract itself, my director's hat, director finance hat on, there's a constant discussion with Scotland Excel. The most frequently discussed element is definitely the National Care Home contract, and in some respects social care contracts as a whole. So there are a number of different avenues, and you've got the same kind of narrative coming through IJB, Directors of Finance, or Chief Finance Officers. So there's a number of different strands, and I suppose a number of different points at which trying to get us to a better place to deal with the landscape, and I suppose deal with the competing factors. Yeah, I think we just get to that. We keep pressing, if you like, in order to try and find a solution, and unfortunately we've not quite got there yet.
You want to come back in?
Just to add to what Mr. Belford is saying, there's definitely experience there. We do it all the time. We put contracts in place for 3, 4, 5 years time with extensions and so we have that experience of doing it. We have the experience of making sure there's caveats in the contract to get out of it if we need to. And I think there's something there for me about that perception of we're in this together, we're working together to get a longer term deal. We'll have the caveats for each side to get out, but surely we all local authorities have that experience of doing multi-year contracts. We should be able to do it.
Is there someone that Fiona should write to as Chief Officer to put a bit of oomph behind the...
You can always use Fiona's oomph. I think there's certainly, I mean, there's Julie Welsh. I think there's a regular relationship there already in Scotland Excel.
Councillor, could that help within regular engagement with those discussions?
Yeah. Okay. It's just a thought. Done, Richie Martin?
Thank you. Yes, as was mentioned, we want to minimise any surprises. So, could I ask about the potential volatility of the residential placements? Is that, I mean, the number there, is that going to be a stable number? Because obviously, at 4.6, if there's a sudden increase, then that would have quite an adverse impact on procurement contract costs. So, any sense of how that might look? I know it can be very unpredictable. Manageable risks, I presume.
Yeah, I think the numbers they do fluctuate, but they don't fluctuate hugely over time. And there's a lot of work going on constantly in terms of reviewing, and I think we did see a slight spike in out of area placements for National Care Home contract due to a lack of places in the city. That seems to have balanced out. I'm feeling Denise's eyes burning on me in the back of my head as I'm speaking now. She may wish to come in here on this point, but I think the numbers certainly over the last couple of years have been fairly steady.
Okay, thank you. It's just that, I mean, these are high tariff cases, so the risk is built in.
And the costs are built in because they're always under the National Care Home contract rates, so we don't get any real surprises there.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Not seeing any hands. Are we happy to approve the recommendations, or do you want to ask questions on the exempt bit before we do so?
Happy to approve.
Just approve. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm hearing happy to approve, so thank you.
Thank you.
Great. At this point we should, well, we're not going to look at the exempt papers because no one's got any questions on them. I think it's fair to assume everyone will have read them. And then that simply brings us to looking at the dates of the next meetings. So we've got the Insight session on the 17th of February. We've got another one on the 10th of March, and then on the 17th of March we've got the budget session. Given the date, I shall probably wear something green. I might have Guinness in my bottle rather than water, but happy to agree.
Agreed.
Great.
Thank you. And that's the end of the meeting.
Lovely.
Thank you. Thanks, folks.
Okay.
Thank you.